sometimes when you are helping somebody do a project around the house, you unearth some things that you thought were lost forever or maybe never existed. One of the things I've commented on several times is I don't have a lot of photos from my childhood. I still have not found hardly anything from when, like, elementary school, junior high age, a little bit junior high age, but elementary school, it's like nobody took any pictures. My parents were starting their business, and I think my dad was still, I don't know if he's still using a movie camera, I don't know. Anyway, there's no photos. But there are some photos every once in a while that pop up from high school and later. And I found these in my mother's kitchen cabinet. She's remodeled her kitchen in 2 weeks. I can't believe this. She's amazing that she can accomplish these things in 2 weeks. Cabinets were built, pulled everything out one Sunday, 2 weeks over Christmas, with my dad in the hospital. She's got the kitchen remodeled, and we got him out of the hospital and everything. And so 2 weeks later, on New Year's Day, we put everything back. And I didn't notice these when we pulled the stuff out, but when we put it back, I found some photos that I went through. And one of the things I found is photos of me at age 16 with my very first car. Now, I didn't technically own this car. My parents bought it, and it was, you know, their car for me to drive. But it was a 1980 Ford Pinto. It was about 6 months old when I got it, and I had really forgotten what it looked like. I remembered it was this particular shade of brown, and let me tell you, that is not a common shade. I've been through my scrapbooking stuff. I can't find anything in that shade of brown. No ink, no paper, no nothing. So, but I probably have some paint or can make up some paint. So what I'm going to do with this for the title is when I get down to doing the title, I'm going to do some lettering, and I'll probably paint the lettering to get this particular shade of brown, because I think that's part of the story here, is the little brown Pinto that I drove, or little Ford Pinto that I drove all through high school and college before I got my first car, from what I consider my first real car. But anyway, this was, and it had this awful tan color interior, sort of I don't know, camel-y color. I don't know, it's just really color. But anyway, so that's what I've got. But I'm wearing the striped shirt with all these pretty colors, and those to me say more fun than the brown color of the car. So I started through my collections. Very first drawer I opened, I had Just the Right Stuff, and that was the Saturday collection from American Crafts, and it's got some fun images here with the cameras and things, as well as some papers I think that go really well. So I'm going to use these in small quantities around the edge of the layout. As I was working on the sketch, something I thought that would be really neat to put behind the photos is maybe a map print, and maybe, I don't know what I have in my stash for map prints, but maybe even something local, since, you know, my driving at age 16 was pretty much around in this area, no more than, you know, 30-40 mile radius from home, just to school and maybe to one of the larger towns in the area, but that was pretty much it. So I'm going to see if I can find some map print to include with this. I think that would be fun. But I do have a background paper that I bought couple sheets 12 by 12 with this, and this is one of them that I got to do some background. So we're going to do this, do some different colors around the edges, and then for embellishment, just a few little things. I have this sheet of stickers from Dear Lizzie, and I know I want to use one of the pairs of glasses because I had to get glasses to drive. I was able to not wear glasses for the learner's permit, which means this was probably right when we first bought the car, and I didn't have my driver's license yet, because I don't have the glasses on. But I had to get glasses before I could get my driver's license, and so that's probably when those photos were taken. It's little details like that sometimes that can really narrow things down, but it's obviously around the time I was 16. And there's some other cute things in here, some flowers and just some small elements. The little hamburger, I think, is relevant to being a teenager. We had gotten our first and only fast food. Now, we had a Hardee's, and then we got a McDonald's. So we had 2 fast food restaurants in all of our town, and that was a big deal to us teenagers. So things like that I will use. I also have some Maggie Holmes papers that go really well with this, and one of them happens to be strips of some color in different patterns. So I might use some of that too. I won't use the wood grain. But and these 2 papers from Maggie Holmes don't really do anything for it. So I've got some cool stuff there to work with. I think I'll go through my 6x6 pad first and pull out some papers that I like that are happy and go with my shirt.
These papers from American Crafts, there's only one sheet of each pattern in the book. But I've had them a while, so I'm going to start cutting them up. I'm not going to worry about saving them. I mean, I've got so much paper. So, and they really are a good fit. Picking out prints here that I think match, skipping like the little mini journaling cards, things like that. And there were a few that I had cut up because I have used this for one other page. Now, if you have 6x6 papers, I do have a class called Sensational 6x6 where we do lots of fun things with your 6x6 papers on 12x12 layouts. Now, I decided to save some of my 12x12 paper since I didn't have as much of that, and I trimmed it down, and I'm using a real just extra sheet of 12x12 scrapbook paper for the background, something thin that I probably wouldn't use for anything else, and gluing everything to that. And what I did was mark a 2-inch line from the edge with my ruler. I've cut some strips of the paper about 1 inches or in some cases random lengths of the widths of the paper of the different 6x6s, and then I'm just putting them down on some strips of adhesive, and then I'll trim off the edges at the paper trimmer and take what's left and put on going the other way down at the bottom. And this is a really quick way to do a border. I'll go trim those off at the paper trimmer. And I'll come back with one edge pretty neatly done and then a bunch of strips, and I can run those along the bottom. There were a few pieces I had gone ahead and cut, and for some reason I cut them a little shorter than 2 inches, and they're going to end up having to go in that corner down there. Some of that yellow paper, maybe I just didn't have enough because I had already worked with it on another layout. This one here with the little donut shape kind of things in there, I have to sort of fit it in somewhere else. Okay. And then I'll trim this bottom edge off, and now I'm ready to assemble the rest of the page. I pulled some map print. This is an old North and South Carolina map that I still had in my car. The last time I pulled it out to use it, it was so outdated that I figured, well, I might as well get rid of this one. And so I found a section that included the area where we live and some of the surrounding communities. A lot of it gets covered up with the photos, but you still kind of get the idea when you're looking at the detail. Now I also have some fun trim. This is my favorite ever trim from Stampin' Up, this little pom-pom trim, and I ran out of it, and I mentioned it in a video, and one of my friends who also had some of it from when we used to be in a Stampin' Up club together gave me hers, or most of hers. I don't know if she gave me all of it, but that is just one of the best gifts because I love, love, love this little yellow pom-pom trim. I have it in another color, but I use it more in yellow than anything. So my thanks to Kay for the trim. I am putting it to use here on this layout, and I still have some left. I do not have much glue, though. I'm going to have to get some Tombow glue. I think they've started carrying that at Walmart, which is a big help to me. Walmart is the only place in my town to buy anything like this. I have to go at least 15 miles to get anything else. Alright, now I'm working on the color for Pinto, and I have some watercolors here. I tried out a couple of different ones, and what I do for like experimenting for scraps is I'll take one of the numbers out of the thicker sets. If I'm going to be painting over thickers, in this case these are canvas ones that are supposed to be painted on, and I just pulled out the number 9 and started playing with it because I'll never use all those numbers. And I've got Pinto. I used a couple of different watercolors to get a brown. This ends up drying a little bit light, but it's still a good match to the color of the car. And then we're going to do some other letters here. There's some old ones from Basic Gray for the word Ford. And I'll do some small little Daily Flash stickers from October Afternoon for the rest of the title. Let's pull out some embellishments. I know I want to do the glasses and the hamburger. And then I kind of like that the dream is real because you're finally getting to drive. Learning to drive was a little bit of a challenge for me. I wasn't a natural at it. I love driving now, but at the time it was just kind of tough on me. I had no experience. I'd never even driven the lawnmower around the yard kind of thing like most kids have. So once I got the hang of it though, and it really helped when I got a smaller vehicle because I learned to drive on a 1977 Ford LTD, which is like driving a huge boat. So that helped tremendously when I had this smaller car to learn on. Now I'm adding a few more elements here going the opposite direction of those papers, and I thought I would just put in a little bit of wood veneer to tie this together with some arrows for the direction. So again, check out that sensational 6x6 class if you use 6x6 papers.
I ended up doing my embellishments quite a bit different by sort of congregating them all down here in the bottom of the page instead of spreading them out. But I did use some map print behind the photos, added the journaling and the title, and then I have an embellishment here, and just as I say, kind of keep everything together with one couple of larger embellishments and then some smaller ones, and got the date in here. So let's take a look at our page. Got lots of color, but I think the photos really stand out because they have that same element of the car that's that distinct brown color that really shows up, and we've tried to duplicate a little bit of that in the wording. So it really takes me back to remember that car that I drove all through high school and college, and before I got my first, what I consider my first real car in terms of having my own that I was completely responsible for. So anyway, this was a fun page to go and do, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching.